Throughout this site, I lay claim to all content as the genuine, original, sincere author, and thus the authority, unless I otherwise reference and credit an other in footnotes. By the way, in my humble opinion, the footnotes shouldn't be longer than the chapter or the entire book that you opted to read. Presently, there are far too many books being written just about the books already in the library. No new ideas, and just mind-numbing debate in the landscape of concepts, robbing our attention from the only true reality, the reality of shared and affirmed perception. When I say authority, this means that I take responsibility for the ideas and suggestions across all my mediums and channels, with the intention of reminding you, the reader, or you, my eventual customer, reminding you of your origin and connection within life, with the goal of enabling you to help yourself at your own pace, on your own terms, in a return to a natural state of compassionate support for others. Unlike today's cancerous existence of artificial fight or flight, underlying hypercompetition and attempts to control and dominate other in the environment. When I say responsibility, I mean that I am in an expert authoritative position to respond with ability on these ideas and suggestions, because the basis of those ideas and suggestions are my own direct observation and direct application, resulting in affirmation received directly from others over my entire lifetime. Why this objective, outward-pointing disclaimer? Because my life pattern, directly sought to experience and feel life with and through other, and thus know life's design and goal ever since I was born. Further, my knowing was solidified through welcoming other to live through me, encouraging and affirming their own reflection and realizations from shared experience with and through me. What an odd, bold, and boastful statement, you might be asking. The related linked videos will describe my affirming life experiences to support this statement. My goal is not to impress you or to make you feel less special than me. Quite the opposite, actually. My goal is to universalize these experiences of mine, reminding you that you've also had similar experiences, but that you may be denying those personal affirmations and resulting true knowledge that would have accumulated through your own presence and acceptance in a shared reality with other. Note from what I mentioned prior that my own experiences wouldn't have occurred if other hadn't shared those experiences, affirmed or denied those experiences, having lived those experiences with and through me. Shared experiencing brings universal realization of our connection and origin as one. Life's design and goal for existing eventually reminds us of our inherent connection as part of that goal and design, to exist and genuinely know that we do exist. While our life patterns, experiences, and diverging storylines may seem to differ greatly, they ultimately cross pathways to help us remember and relax back into a flow with one another in support of life's design and goal, which is to simply exist and know that we exist. This begins with an initial sense of separation, denying of other, an eventual reunion springing from compassionate affirming of other. Denying and affirming contrast is the spark of life's design. How much contrast is truly required at any level of existing? To detect an existing is a recessive doubt residing within a recess across all of life. Rather than relying on mystical wisdom with no scientific proof, which just perpetuates systems of separation born from believing in some other's literal or imagined experiences, I will instead objectify your own attention and eventually your own acceptance of your life origin as one. No spooky knowledge here. Nothing special about this me or you apart. But together, what we comprise, and the proof of our collective experiencing and resulting wisdom, our knowing. This is what I will redirect your attention towards. My direct pointing through affirming shared experiences intends to counter the misdirected living of life as an indirect faith and beliefs, relying on ideals or imagination from others. From an other who we may never know whether those ideas had their own basis in a shared reality at one point in time. No, instead, we've subjected ourselves into a separation and pain at an exacerbated pace over the last 100 years. 3 world wars, with the final war being everyone versus everyone in the Internet of Things. Humorous for me to utter things, as the sense of things in events is what sparks the initial sense of separation required by life's design towards life's goal of existing and knowing its existence. My mission is to rebalance fear with love and anxiety with a peaceful state of flowing, helping people to relax into life and reconnect with others in a blissful shared reality. The fundamental opportunity is that life has once again swayed into extreme imbalance by life's design. We live in an era of an extreme feel of separation, culminating in self-obsession, intensifying an artificial sense of risk, and the need to fight for personal survival. We cannot see our connection as one cell within a next-level body of existence. You decide whether I am using analogy right now or literal reminding. Consider for a moment a skin cell that thinks it is the point of it all, as reinforced by control-based belief systems perpetuated with utterances like, "in the Creator's image," versus a skin cell remembering its place within the body, within the image of its Creator. Only the fear-based skin cell fights to exist well beyond its purpose and benefit to the containing system or storyline. The cell that remembers its supporting role in the grander play of life gracefully lets go of its self or self-protection. It dies into life. A calloused skin cell lets go while protecting the birth of regenerating cells underneath it, still forming and not yet ready to interact with life. It cares not that the mind of body was overgripping and hanging on to life. This is a true example of faith and grace within the recursive, recurring design of life. By contrast, melanoma skin cells fight the body for personal survival at the final expense and death of the body. And thus, the fight to continue on existing leads to a spawning and a spanning and a spreading of a sense of importance of what should be versus what is. How all existence must be played out as a skin cell or any particular type of cell. Think of that as selves or life patterns. As a result, a cancerous, overly self-serving existence is born, which, if left unchecked by formerly healthy surrounding cells, who still hold on to a view of the containing body and storyline, if those currently healthy cells lazily welcome in the faulty belief and behavior, then the cancer is allowed to spread unchallenged. Our globally connected existence is highly conceptualized and monetized. We are living within a stage 4 cancerous experience. Our hyper-competitive global economy is built on obsession in defeating competitors rather than lovingly supporting our customers, supporting society by caring for our physical, local village. Our monetized illness is marketed by us, to us, focusing on concepts of net worth measurement and livelihood vitals as mere cash flow. We acquire and rush to trade those assets as options for a future that will never exist. We do so rather than lovingly flowing with other, in the now, the only place where existing and knowing can occur. There was a time when we focused on caring for our local village, ensuring that all villagers were cared for with reasonable shelter, nourishing food to avoid a state of mind-distracting hunger towards self-survival, and we had a few village scouts to protect the villagers from the only real physical harm that they faced, that of animals, or neighboring man unkind seeking to consume the village due to their own mind-numbing conceptual hunger. Now the vast majority seem to be mind-numb, consuming get-rich-quick schemes to escape the broken-down village they all forgot to care for, which now seems unrecoverable. Money has become like oxygen for the modern human existence. If money is not allowed to flow and adapt with life's evolving reality, then the entire organism may die. Organizations of life, life as organisms, organizing within organizations. Do you see the commercialized, corporatized connection of our existing within life? The modern definition of existing? My mission is to remind us how to see the connected us, our intricate connections, so that we might replace faulty attempts to control the entire organism like one cancer cell towards a certain fate. Our ancestors honored and genuinely enjoyed life's design before the advent of science's fancy instruments and affirming algorithms. Our modern science community has the rarest opportunity yet to awaken mankind. Will they consider and play along in the evolving script? Artificial intelligence in a hyper-connected ones and zeros, objectively transparent yet virtualized reality is serving up realizations of a disconnected, subservient, diverging reality, served up from data servers submerged in our now literally oceanic collective mind. Will official science offer final, statistically sound proof of our intrinsic, recursive, and recurring connecting life patterns? Or, as our fractured, unstable, collective societal mind has proven recently, will science succumb yet again to monetized return on investment when determining what to measure and which results to convey or distort when reporting back to us? The evolving Internet of Things is now what we're labeled. can the Internet of Things be marketed to once again? Living by observing the flow and adapting as I always have, I chuckle about the possibilities. I'll try not to laugh outwardly too loud, for those giggles will land on Google's. My personal accounting of our existing, residing within this site as part of the amassing Internet of Things, intends to return the seeker to an awakened state of existing and adapting. What may evolve from this collective state is, in my humble opinion, the best next stage of your and our evolution. The basis of ideas expressed within are from my lifetime of direct observation of life's intricate connections. I have been blessed with a gift of a quiet mind and an open heart since birth, and I was able to hold on to that innocence my entire life. My earliest memories, as of age 5 or 6, affirmed my abilities to feel the situation, even when the adult context was beyond my comprehension, beyond the comprehension of my innocent heart. I recall interrupting arguments between so-called adults, grabbing their hands to rejoin them in embracing silence and appreciating their connection. Before I was taught the language of seriousness, also known as adulthood, I could only sense and respond to scenarios of disconnection and unnecessary pain. I would never hold back. I would never hesitate. I would never hesitate to offer compassion and reunion. My career success is attributable to helping people sincerely connect towards common causes, reducing anxiety and depression born from life's artificially serious and now monetized and marketable vibe. I began journaling my observations and reflective thought on the day's events as early as age 10. At age 6, I used sidewalk chalk, symbols of reminding, readying myself for what was apparently to come next. Please see my video on ciphers across time for an example of this. I formed the habit young of detecting themes across spans of time, affirming my intuition as to what connected certain events and emotions people were experiencing and expressing, whether pleasant or painful. Many of these journals survived over time. In my early 20s, most of my observations were summarized into poems, quotes, quips, and mantras about life's offering of contrast to each self's interaction with other. I've carried forward the habit of weekly reflection on life's intricate connections, and I have amassed an amazing account of life's absolute beauty. Why is this relevant? I intentionally sheltered myself from the so-called great works of others until my early 40s. By a Western example, the Holy Bible was verbally referenced quite often in my formerly Catholic, then breakaway Christian family home. I was so dismayed by the contradicting verbal messages conveyed in their home Bible classes. What I did witness and hear, dictated directly from the Good News Testament, seemed obvious and clear to my unconditioned mind. However, the Bible class discussions were unnecessarily confusing. Life had a plan to affirm me at a very young age and show me the confusing rules of the current game in progress. The adult experience context seems so full of self-doubt, anxiety, and unfounded belief, hope and faith of a better existence after death in a place called heaven. I held back from exploring the Gospels, somehow knowing it was better to read it later in life, after some degree of life's attempts to condition me. The same goes for other notorious works by life's great philosophers from antiquity to present day. those who researched and re-expressed, making more widely available systems of thinking and observation, such as the holistic cultural experiencing of Hinduism and its culturally agnostic extraction for later export of the counterbalancing corrective exercises known as Buddhism to help one escape from the insane play of life. The organic flowing and knowing of us as organism without governance, residing within the Tao, as well as the Tao's application through Zen Buddhist practices and consulted doctrine, which aid the Bodhisattva's return. As I reflect on 1,000 years of practiced, indoctrinated systems of remembering, I chuckle at the fact that they are all simultaneously correct through their inclusivity and incorrect through their exclusivity. Please, again, see my video of Sidewalk Chalk, Ciphers Across Time. Instead, perhaps the following is true. My philosophy. Perhaps we collectively comprise a recursive organism that is playing at being lost through recurring life patterns who hide and then seek their unique meaning, their origin, their purpose in life, within an evolving script of reclaiming power amidst a monarchy rule by a king, now a kingdom C-suite ruled by jailers, forgetting the control it gave up originally so as to witness anything at all occurring. Is that you? Now we have altered the script to give up on injustice of an unlikelihood of humanity remembering its origin. Though we as scientist and engineer have altered the biomechanics in ways to be known soon, seeking instead our origin from either artificial intelligence machinery, with the plateauing logic of our own shortcomings and misunderstandings, or seeking the origin from aliens returning to check on the maturation of the seed they planted long ago. I'm sorry, I can't help but laugh at all of this. Most recently, in 2019, I was encouraged to read yet another great account of Us Apart, the Mahabharata. I found the last 2 pages sufficient enough to cover the entire 923-page recount of life's script. The storyline's message of blissful or painful cycles of birth and death, while remembering who is playing you, or playing through you, I would prefer to say. I found this interesting in concept until the suggestion that you, as either victim or willing disciple, are being played. Yet again, 15 plus hours of distracted reading could have taken my own life pattern away from remaining in and feeling the ultimate knowing, the ultimate reality. But I couldn't fool self-aware me. That's you getting lost and seeking a return path yet again. Ours is a hide-and-seek life for sure. Reading the great works was very self-affirming, and for me, self-assuring, although I wasn't seeking assurance, until one pivotal moment at age 36, when a version of me, too caught up in life's play, came crashing down. At age 38, after 2 years of recovering from life as serious business and the plight for survival, I finally relaxed back into my childhood knowing. Life is incredibly easy to live. Just remain in the evolving story. Be totally involved in our evolutionary flow. There is no one way we should go. We just need to flow. A few quotes from this lifetime, this life instance known as David. The more we try to swim against the current, we eventually find no one available to come to our rescue from the overcoming torrent. I said this at age 20. Too often, we make conceptually complex what is otherwise perceptually obvious and simple. That's myself at age 30. To exist and know, live the story. That's myself at age 10. To doubt and question all that is a self's beginning. Document, debate, and challenge the stories of other. That's myself at age 40. This is our hell, and that is our heaven. I said that at age 7. A clarified version from age 30. This, self, alone in our imagination, is our hell. And that, shared reality lived with others, that's our heaven. Bliss is available only in knowing and flowing in the now. At age 7, it was perfectly clear, and by design, it was hid from me for me to seek and remember the rest of my life. During my undergraduate work and 2 graduate program experiences, the first being Mastering the Administration of Business and Organizational Design. The second, The Science of Re-expressing Life as Ones and Zeros in Algorithms to be Evaluated by Something Called Computers. During these 2 experiences, I caught my first glimpses of applied human psychology, applied human restraint in the aggregate scale. It didn't feel appropriate or relevant to me, however. Heavy categorization and the rush to label otherwise naturally evolving human experiences and consciousness, those deemed to stray too far from what the controlling minority labels as normal and acceptable, sane, all of this felt unfortunate and myopic towards the collective evolution of humanity. By the way, the controlling minority most often is the least connected in a shared reality, otherwise labeled sanity. They establish standards by which to conform anything that is deemed not sane. As a 30-year business consultant, truly just a life consultant, if you really need one, I've had the honor and burden of influencing organization cultures to become more inclusive and adaptive, and thus supportive. I considered and passed on psychology one final time, this time organization psychology, the redesign and restructuring of human capital towards a more efficient mutual cooperation of the organization's goals. What I affectionately refer to as collective psyche aligned for profit, not the effective support of the just cause underlying the original reason for forming the organization, the mission. I came to realize that the real opportunity for breakthrough realizations begins or ceases to ever exist within the level of the individual self. Despite my best effort to show groups of people under title of manager or leader how to better support group reality and how groups of people could better connect with other groups of people, the premise of unifying thought and action died on step 1, within the blocked heart of the titled individual attempting to dominate and control life out of artificial, marketed fear. Fear of their ability to retain acquired title, status, and control, and disproportionate reward over that of other. The industrial age work culture has nurtured the natural state out of humanity, in my opinion, of what it means to be human, to be free to admit, I don't know, and to remain curious together like we were as innocent children in our shared pursuit of shared understanding of what it really means to exist and know and why we exist. Our new nature perpetuates the ongoing imbalances of control, leading to our sense of separation and need to compete to survive. My life's mission is to remind us of our true origin as one, so that we might rebalance towards a more naturally flowing state of compassionate support and care for others. I directly witnessed so many occasions where individual managers disagreed with the prevailing inertia of the organization, and yet their individual and subgroup belief systems of separation, with their self-protection and extreme anxiety, blocked the individual from courageous moments of what could have been loving leadership displays of inspiring vision and support. In each occasion, I probed deeply in each life scenario, out of deep empathy for both of them, the affector and all those they affect in painful ways. My persistence strengthened with each heartache. What you will hear and read on this site is the culmination of my lifetime's direct observations and attempts to apply the wisdom of life's intricate connections towards achieving the goal of existing and knowing within life's amazing design of relativity. My essential cyst and offer, while this I is still alive, is to reduce the extremes of contrast required to exist and know it, as well as the perceived duration of time invested in separation, so as to detect attempts to reunite. Since age 6, friends and relatives have heard me utter a response to their common question: why won't you stand up for yourself? In response to life's all too familiar stories of conflict, to which I lovingly said, because that's you. Start a relationship with me to understand what I mean by this catchphrase. You won't believe it until you've experienced it directly yourself, through other, and as you've allowed other to experience it through you. The pathway out of self-righteousness is a shared observation and affirmation of us, with all of our evolving storylines diverging and colliding in various states of selfishness or readying resignation towards reunion. Shared reflection of our being simultaneously nothing when looking down and within human existence, and then realizing we are everything when looking up and across shared existing, through shared third-person observations and third-person reflections of our ongoing happenings. This is the pathway out of diverging self-righteousness, self-obsession. Seeing the proverbial forest through the trees, seeing the ultimate self through all the me's and we's, with their corresponding kingdoms and kingdom fiefdoms. All that you experience in life, that's you. Start a relationship with me. I'd like to help you believe it for a short period of time until you can see it and directly experience it yourself. The only way that you will ever witness and utter, that's you.